Historians say that the blood flowed freely in the streets of Paris in France because they rose against the church. Is that going to happen again when the people of the world see that this system has oppressed them and has trampled upon them? Absolutely. Reckoning day will definitely come. The Bible describes this moment when God's people are in jeopardy. You remember in Daniel chapter 3 when the 3 young men were delivered from the fiery furnace? The word delivered is used several times in chapter 3. Do you remember when Daniel was delivered from the lion's den? The word delivered is used many times. Those stories are typological. In other words, those stories actually illustrate in small scale model what is going to happen at the end of time. And you say, how is that? Notice Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. Here is where you have the end time scenario of Daniel in the lion's den and the 3 young men in the fiery furnace. It says in Daniel 12 verse 1, at that time, if you look at the previous verses, it speaks about the king of the north that goes out to kill and slay God's people. It says, at that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble. Let me ask you, was the time that Daniel spent in the lion's den a time of trouble? Do you think it was a time of trouble for the 3 young men in the fiery furnace? You better believe it. And so it says, there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation even to that time. And at that time, listen to this, your people shall be what? Delivered. There's the key word in Daniel 3 and Daniel 6. Your people shall be delivered. Everyone who is found written in the book. And you say, how do you know this is talking about the end time? Notice verse 2. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Speaking about the resurrection, right? This is the end time. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who turn many to righteousness like stars forever and ever. Now, I would like us to take a look at 2 stories as we draw our presentation today to a close. Do you remember the story that we find in the book of Esther? You all remember the story that we find in the book of Esther? You see, you have a threefold alliance in the book of Esther that wants to destroy the Jews. You have, first of all, the king. Secondly, you have a vile woman who is the wife of Haman. And in the third place, of course, you have Haman. And then you have Mordecai, who represents God's faithful people. Now, how does this story develop? Go with me to Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom.